All right, guys, what's happening? Robert here, once again, going through some of the crazy news. Can you guys hear me out there? What's happening? Just wanted to touch base with you guys really quickly on the initiation of our rollout of our new text alerts and apps. We actually, what I have to make sure everybody understands, and we're going to go in the news here because there's been a lot of stuff, crazy stuff going on, but we want to make sure that we're getting ahead of the crazy events that we know are coming. And the shooting that took place today, the mass shooting, is just an indicator of what we already told you guys was coming. It's probably going to be these types of events that are going to happen more consistently as we get closer to the war breakout, the outbreak of war. Trump actually made a statement today about World War III and how close we really are to World War III. The app and the text alerts are for those that are going to need to get instant access and understanding of what's really going on when it happens. And so that's why we're revamping and reloading and bringing back online the alert system. And I say it's an alert system because it is an alert. We're in times that we're going to have those. That's why they're doing all the tests on the phones. That's why they're doing them on TV. Wherever you're at, you're getting these crazy alerts that are making sure that it's all working, because they're expecting something too. Everybody's expecting something to happen, whether it's the crash of our economy or war breaking out in Ukraine, to the point where it's nuclear, because they're talking nukes now. Now they're talking nukes as of the last day or two. That's pretty scary. They're now talking about exchanging nukes. There's just so much, and we can go into the news. You got the Thailand and Cambodia war now breaking out. You've got the potential of conflict with Iran in just a short time. I mean, this looks like it's about to happen at any moment. And then you've got the whole thing with South America and Maduro. And not only that, but Colombia. I mean, Trump's threatening Mexico, Colombia. I mean, are we going to just invade? I mean, not to mention the rollout of all the National Guard and the quick response teams that are going to be going throughout all the country on a moment's notice. Those are going to be launched January 1st, right? They've done the order on that. Trump is really preparing for something big. And I don't know if he knows something or they know something that's going to happen on the homeland, but I can only imagine that as all this begins to unfold around the world, that we've got, millions and tens of millions of people that are in the country that are here illegally. And they may have other reasons for being here, just saying. And so if you're in a large city, you can expect, and I can say, probably this is why they're preparing for these quick response National Guard teams. They're 500 unit teams that are going to go out anywhere in the country at a moment's notice. This is what they're saying. So they're going to be ready to do this on January 1st of 2026. And they're doing this because they know that once these wars begin, and I mean, we're commandeering that. We're taking over ships that are coming from Venezuela. We're taking over ships that are Russian. They're bombing. I mean, there's so many things going on, guys. I sit and look at the news every day, and I'm just like, how close we are to World War III. And then Trump comes out today and says it. So this is why we're doing our quick response alert system, because we want to make sure that we're on top of the news as it happens, and we're here to alert people and make sure that they understand in context with what's going on with all the different feeds. And if we happen to get censored, well, we have everybody on a list. We have everybody on a blast. We just press the button. How many of you guys out there got your blast? Blonde says no testing in Idaho. I don't know what you mean by that. But anyways, how many of you guys out there got your text? Just out of curiosity. Are they still at this very moment clearing the buildings at this time? I mean, this happened, at least 4 or 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago. How long ago did that happen? That's a pretty big event. And you have to wonder if it's not terrorism related. Did they say anything yet? Have you guys heard anything about terrorism? You did not, Lynn? Prism, you got yours? Tim Johnson, you got yours? Okay. Now, I got to make sure you guys all understand this. Please listen carefully. Okay, this has to do with the app, and this has to do with the text alerts and the push notifications. The app encompasses push notifications, and the text alerts are kind of a separate thing. But still, we had to switch the company that we're going to do this with. I shouldn't have eaten before I came on. The company that we were with, we realized we were only doing month. We didn't buy a full year subscription, and these are subscription based. And the app that we're getting now is twice. It's even more than that. It's like way better. It's cheaper. It's way better, and it's half the price. It's cheap. It's half the price. It's better, and there was a problem that we had encountered with the other one. Okay, we had a little problem, and the problem shouldn't have been a problem, but it's good that it was, because we realized, hey, we're paying twice as much for less. I mean, the app wasn't even really. It was kind of through a third party. It would put your logo and everything on your phone, but you would have to go through a third party, download their software, and then find our group, and then that group would be added to your phone, and then it would be on your icon on your phone. But still, that's like going 3 steps when all you have to do is just download it right directly from Google Play or, through Android. You just download it right from the store. It shows our name. They search your name. They don't have to search any other thing. Hey, Prism, thank you. God bless. And so we made this, and it's a social media kind of platform as well. So there's a lot more features that are in it. The software is just so much better and more intuitive, and like I said, half the price. We're trying to save some money, and it's a good thing we didn't put down the year subscription. We were thinking, okay, we do the year subscription, we'll get this much money off, but we're not sure if we really want it. Well, it's a good thing we did it, because we realized there's other software out there, and it is other better software. So I had a brother, in fact, Jeff, if you're here, he had told me before I did this, he goes, why don't you check out some of the other software? And I'm like, I don't know. This looks like it's going to work, and I'm thinking it's good. Let's just go with it. Everything's going to hit the fan. We want to make sure we're online and we can message everybody when we need to. And so I went ahead. I probably should have took his advice, took a breath and done a little research. Instead, I went with the first thing that we had, and it was kind of the reason why is it was because it was connected to what we were already doing. It was a software that we were already kind of using, but it was, as I said, inferior. So we've got the best one out there now, just so you know, and it's cheaper. How can you not say yay for that? But anyways, everybody that signed up, you're going to have to re-sign up. I'm sorry. Here's the place where you can sign up. So let me get you the link. I'm so sorry that you have to re-sign up. But hey, we had like 400 people sign up, 500, close to 500. And now you got to re-sign up. So that kind of sucks, I know. But hey, okay, so what you're seeing on this here, so I'm going to put the link in there. So this link right here is where you'll sign up. Now, if you got a text alert, you don't need to sign up. You're already in there. But that is the link. And what you'll do is you'll register. You can add whatever information in there you want. And we will start turning on features that open up chats and groups and all the other things that can start facilitating community. And we have our church connected to there as well, and our store, our store. Well, actually, we don't have the store connected to our Blazing Press news site. We've got all of our social media connected there, and like I said, you'll get push notifications once our app is approved, and we're doing that in the process now. You're going to kind of get a visual of what the app will look like by going to this link, so you'll see it. And that's kind of what it will look like on your phone. You'll get a push notification anytime we do something, if you would like, and then also a text if it's a major news event. Now, I did the text today because I wanted to test it again. I had a different number I wanted to put in there because I think the other number was, for some reason, not going through very well, because sometimes certain numbers, are on a list where they're kind of banned from sending SMSs. There's a whole bunch to learn about sending SMS messaging. You got to kind of know the regulations. They put a whole bunch of new regulations in 2020 on sending texts. And I think they did that because, it might have been because of COVID, and all the people were messaging people, and it probably spam too. They don't want people to get spam, but But all our people opted in. So all of our people opted in. We have no problem. We're not spamming anybody. We're just telling everybody, hey, this is where you go. You want to get information on what's happening in the world? We're going to tell it to you, and you're going to be in a great community of people that are going to support you. They're going to teach you the way if you don't know it. And if you're out there and you're wondering what's the answers, well, we're going to show you the answer. We're not afraid to tell you that we got the answer. And I'm not saying that we got all the answer. We just we understand what's the rules in the world that we live. I'll just say that. So we also have a ministry called BP Ministries, and if you can get connected to that, you'll hear some great teachings. You'll hear, great prayer requests. If you got prayer requests, you can always share your prayer requests and get connected to other believers. If you're a believer out there, so get signed up to that. All right, so Gina Mac, how's it going? I see you out there, Patty. Diana, isn't it cool, Diana? Now, that's just bare bones. I haven't even turned everything on yet. There's a whole bunch of new things to put in there. So it's really cool. I like it too, Diana. It's great. I'm glad you're in there as well. All right, so let's see what's going on. Really didn't get into a lot of news today. I know that the shooting was big. I know that what Trump said was pretty, of consequence. The whole world is picking up on what he's saying about war and how we're very close to going into the global war right now. And he's talking about Ukraine and Russia. If they don't fix it and they don't get it straight, then that means it's going to be World War III. And it's possible that we could get pulled in. He made a reference to the U.S. getting pulled in. He said, it's really kind of their problem. And, we're not going to get too involved if it gets too bad, but we could be pulled into it, he said. That's what he said. He kind of made reference to the possibility that the U.S. could get pulled in. But that's not the only problem. I mean, you've got all these other things like Iran, and you've got, South America and the drug thing and all the border issues. And, and if you didn't listen to some of my commentary the other day about how Hezbollah has been working with the cartels, and you're talking about expert tunnel builders. They've been working with Mexican cartels for 20 years, building tunnels into the U.S. And these tunnels are not just bringing drugs in now, they're bringing human traffic. And that's not just, women and children. It's also potentially military type individuals that are wanting to do harm to the U.S. and they're going through tunnels. And Hezbollah, as they say, what they did was, the reason they've been working with the cartels for the last 20 years is they've been getting funding for their war with Iran from the cartels. And the cartels obviously get their expertise in building tunnels, and they're able to take their drugs in to the U.S. undetected. So it's kind of that symbiotic criminal relationship there, symbiotic relationship that they have that's criminal. So the cartels get their tunnels, and Hezbollah gets money for wars against Israel from cartel money, drug money. And so that's what's been going on for over 20 years. That's been going on for a long time. So now they're going to start probably using it for more of a, operations against the U.S. if this is where it's going to go. Because let's just say we go to war with Iran. Iran's already prepared to do stuff in our own country there, They're not just going to sit back and let us. They're going to do guerrilla type, responses. Asymmetric is what they call it, right? Asymmetric warfare. I think that's the way they say it. Asymmetric means basically the definition is having parts that fail to correspond with one another in shape, size, or arrangement, lacking in symmetry. So you can't really, it's not like a mechanized army coming down the road where you can detect it on radar or satellite or whatever. This is totally a hybrid warfare where they blend in and they do things that are kind of soft targets, and you just don't know where they're coming from. It's kind of like guerrilla warfare. That's basically what asymmetric warfare is. They blend in. You don't know what there's really. They don't wear uniforms. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on this team. And you're not going to know. So that's what we're going to be up against when everything really does hit the fan. And I think that we're pretty close to that happening. But hey, it's Saturday night, right? Saturday Night Live. You know, one thing about Saturday Night Live, I was just thinking of, I don't know if you've ever heard a guy named Jim Brewer. He used to be on Saturday Night Live back in probably the 90s, I think it was. He's a great comedian, but he's got a good heart, and he's a Christian, and his wife's a Christian. He goes all through all kinds of stories now. He's on YouTube, and he's pretty popular. If you listen to one of his episodes, he has a series or an episode, what do they call it? It's kind of like a series. You can look it up on his channel. It's called "Isn't God Funny?" Isn't it funny sometimes how God does things? Right? That's the series. And when you see those videos, they are so amazing. I mean, he's got hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views on these videos. And he goes through life events and he shares his personal stories. And, you know, a lot of those stories you probably might know how they crossed over with other people's lives, like, you know, Chris Farley, you know, when he was on SNL, some of the people that he hung out with in the comedian fields that were pretty well known. And he kind of gives the backstory on what happened and his personal journey to become a believer. His wife became a Christian and kind of counseled him along the way. And she influenced him in a very positive way. And he realized that God had his hand on his life, and he's now preaching the gospel. You should just hear this guy. I mean, he's funny. He's still funny. You know, like he still has a you know, a little bit of comedy there. You know, he's not like total, you know, hellfire and brimstone preacher or anything, but he recognizes that the hand of God was working in his life all along the way. And he tells these great stories. And he's got a great producer too, because they got a great way of presenting it. Now he does use a little bit of AI imagery in there. And I think that's probably the people that are producing his show, but it's mostly just him sitting there kind of sharing his heart and telling you a story. And he's a great storyteller. But like I said, he's a great comedian. So if you get a chance to go check out Jim Brewer, it's a great way to witness to somebody to, you know, tell them, hey, check out Jim Brewer. You know, Jim Brewer, that comedian, SNL, go check out some of his videos, send him some links. And it's a great way to witness to people because, you know, sometimes people they don't want to have anything to do with the church. You know, they don't want to know. They just want, you know, they're trying to figure out what's going on in the world. You know, maybe God will speak to them in a way that is not through a church. Maybe he'll speak to them in a very personal way, the way he did with Jim in his life circumstances. And it's just amazing. I've had many things happen in my life that are not coincidental, and they didn't come through a church, but I knew they were from God. But then again, the whole foundation is really knowing the Bible. It's really understanding what it teaches. And once you do, then there's a context for your everyday life that doesn't necessarily have to be overly, you know, produced in terms of religion. It doesn't always have to sound religious, but there's a foundation of truth that's based in sound doctrine. So you need to get your Bible out. You do need to study it, and you do need to gain some understanding of what it really means to be a follower of Christ, and not be afraid to talk about it. But anyways, just on top of the fact that I was trying to do a little test here with this alerts, I wanted to see what would happen if I pushed out alert. And I guess we got a bunch of people. How many people here got an alert? I want to just see some hands. Number one, if you got an alert, you've never been to our show before, and this is the first time you've been here, type 1 in the chat. I want to see how many people here got the alert, have never been to the show before, and you just got a text right now on your phone, and you're like, who is this? And then you remember, hey, wait a minute, this guy looks familiar, because you had opted in one time, way back in the day, probably back during COVID under Trumpet News Channel. Do you remember that? Trumpet News Channel. Jackie, you've been here, Jackie. Come on. Jackie, you're always here. Jose Ramirez. I'm talking about people that have never been here before. The first time. Is this the first time you've ever been here before? And you got a text? Anybody? I just want to make sure it's working. I know some of the people that I texted that are here that signed up, but I'm trying to see if there's anybody here that is completely new. Completely new. Never been here before. Froto Baggins, what's happening? Anywho's, I don't really see too many people. If you're here watching and you're not typing in the chat, then say yay in the chat. Say, yeah, that's me. Never been here before. Type 1. Come on, don't be afraid. There had to be more than that. Oh, well. Then this is probably just the same group of people, I guess. Okay, Pedro. Okay, Pedro, so this is first time, right? Karen, you didn't get the text because I changed the whole format. The new place to get your text is going here. You got to sign up here. You got to re-sign up for the app. I'm sorry if you just got here. If you're brand new, you got to re-sign up and get it because we switched apps. So our whole thing changed. We're not sending text to the old number. So if you signed up from before, you got to re-sign up. I am so sorry that you have to do that, but I promise that will be the last time. Okay, so Tone Capone, first time. Okay, great. You got the first time there. That's great. Okay, so Pedro says the first time he did. Good job. Are you bored with this same group of people? Disappointed? No, I'm not bored, Jackie. I just want to make sure we increase and we continue to grow, and that we reach people that might be just kind of sitting there idle, not knowing what's going on. Because we know everything. We got it all figured out here, don't we? No, we don't actually got it all figured out. But we do got a lot figured out. And we're always figuring out more. And so we want to have more people here to figure it out with us. I mean, we've got, an average viewership of a couple thousand for every video, I guess. But we want to have 10,000 or 20,000 like we used to. Actually, we used to get more than that. Sometimes we were getting 1 million views per video when we were texting our 35,000 member list, and we would push that button and 35,000 people would get alerted. Well, right now we want to bring them over here not just for news, but we want to make sure that they understand the context of what's happening in the news and the news that's behind the news. It's called the good news. Right? There's all kinds of bad news, and you can get swamped. We could get swamped with the bad news. And many people don't want to look at the news now because of the fact that it's so bad and it's depressing. But we want to make sure that we let everybody know that there's some hope out there, and you can put your trust in the good news, the message that is the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. What does that mean? Well, it's right there in the book. Now, we're not Mormons. I know Mormons always say that. Jehovah's Witnesses always say that. And a lot of Protestants do the same thing, but they're not, not everybody has a great way of explaining it. And maybe they don't even really understand it themselves. There's a lot of Christians that are completely not only biblically illiterate, but they really don't know Jesus. They say they do. They're cultural Christians. They're caught up in religiosity, and they're caught up in the churchianity. And, I say churchianity, and they know how to speak Christianese. It's kind of like Chinese, but it's called Christianese. They got all the phrases down, and they sound really holy. And, they kind of think that they're better than you mostly. But hey, they don't really understand, and sometimes I feel like I have to apologize for a lot of what happens in Christianity, in Christendom. But we're here to set the record straight that Jesus is Lord of Lords, King of Kings, and Lord of Lords, and He is truly who He said He is, even though people don't really always understand. They're following Him just like many of the disciples did, and they got disillusioned at certain points, and then they didn't want to follow Him anymore. Or they got scared and they ran away because it was too hard. Or, just like Peter, he finally came to a realization of who Jesus really was, even though he had known Him for a long time. Jesus said to him, hey, Peter, you understood my identity when I asked you the question, who do you say that I am? Peter said, thou art the Christ, right? The Son of the living God. And Jesus said to him, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father which is in heaven. And so for you to understand really who Jesus is, you could be walking with Him just like Peter was in the physical world. And obviously you're not doing that because Jesus, you're not That was 2,000 plus years ago. But even still, he didn't understand until that moment the realization of who Jesus really was. The incarnation of God in flesh and blood on this earth for a purpose and a mission to redeem humanity. What does that mean? To reconcile the human soul back to God without any impediments, without any separation. That's what they call atonement, right? Atonement means, you can look at it as at one-ment. Atonement actually you can look at the word at one-ment. So it just means to bring you back to oneness with the Creator, like the first Adam was in the garden, right? Jesus is called the second Adam because he comes to do what the first Adam failed to do, and that was to obey and to trust God's will and not follow the lying serpent or the lying wife that actually was deceived by the serpent, because he really wasn't deceived. He did it with eyes wide open. But, to participate in that garden experience, you can still have that now by following the second Adam, right? It was the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And then we beheld his glory. Now, we're sitting back looking at a moment in time and space where God entered for the purpose of bringing back his creation, which he had already foreordained. He already knew this was going to happen. He already appointed. Every little detail was preordained. Even Judas Iscariot was preordained. God called him for a purpose to be involved as one of the disciples. Jesus called him friend. He already knew he was going to betray him, but he called him friend. He loved him and he accepted him for the purpose of ultimately bringing about what the scripture says: if the princes of this world had only known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory, because they knew that after the fact that they ultimately destroyed their own kingdom, right? The powers of darkness. So when they crucified Christ, it was really a part of God's plan, but they didn't realize that they were actually enforcing their own demise. They were actually facilitating their own doom, the kingdom that they were part of, crushing of the head of the serpent, right? As it says in the Garden of Eden, the Lord said that the seed of the woman would crush the serpent's head, but the heel of the woman's seed would be bruised. So Jesus was bruised on the cross by the serpent. But in the process, he crushed the head. He destroyed the authority. He destroyed its power over humanity. And that's the message that we give. So we're here to talk about the news, but we're also here to talk about the answer. And the news is looking pretty bleak. I'll just tell you this right now. War is very close. I believe internal strife within the U.S. with social upheaval there's a very good likelihood and a potential for that to happen. Not to only say that would coming from without or from a foreign influence, but also left and right disruption of what they've called civil war. There's been a lot of people on the left and on the right saying that a civil war could happen within the U.S. And you're starting to see that with the way states are responding to some of Trump's executive orders and some of his dictates, and social media influencers that are pretty large are saying certain things. But there's a lot of division amongst the people on the right anyway right now. It's really crazy stuff. I mean, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that was huge. And you got to kind of wonder what's going on behind the scenes with that whole thing, with how that's connected to possibly Epstein and Israel and all the stuff that we do with Israel, especially with this potential war in Iran. And then again, what is Trump's part in all of this as the mediator of global world peace, who he himself said on a number of occasions that he was going to bring eternal peace. That's kind of a religious statement. The only one that brings eternal peace is Christ. No man should ever say, I'm going to bring eternal peace, or I am the arbiter of peace, or I am the world, I am the embodiment of peace, because that's basically what Trump he's saying. And he's even received the praise of religious Jews and their designation of him being the Prince of Peace, and giving him the scripture on a plaque that says that he fulfills the scripture that is only reserved for the Messiah, which is Jesus, that he would be the wonderful counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, and upon his shoulders will rest the government. Now, who do kings around the world say that is the most powerful person in the world right now? Well, at least the one bigger than name in lights because of his controversy is Trump. And I would say that's chaos magic, but that's what chaos magic does. But look at what he's doing. He's overseeing the rebuilding of Gaza. Basically, the U.S. now owns Gaza, and he's appointed a board of 10 kings. Tell me that's not biblical. We pointed it out in the article that said there was going to be 10 nations that were going to support, and Trump was the head. He's called the chairman of the board of peace. Tell me that ain't biblical. And they're going to oversee the rebuilding, as it says in Daniel chapter 11, verses 45. He will establish his royal tents between the sea and the holy mount. That's Gaza. And he's rebuilding that whole area, right? And then what do you hear again? There's just so much that I sit back and I'm thinking, wow, with the technology of today, this whole thing with the digital ID, Trump is facilitating this whole thing globally. His staff, his group of tech titans that are following him all around, and I could go through the different names and some of the military applications of these technologies. And we're talking about some of the software, like Palantir and Pegasus. Okay, so if you're up on all this, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is all being marshaled by Trump himself and being exported to these different regions. Like he had that meeting over there in the UK, and he basically set up the hub for all of Europe. Right there in the UK, they called it UK Stargate, right? Trump's behind all this. He brought all of his tech titans with him to set this up. This is all over the whole of Europe. They're going to be rolling out AI, digital, whatever, surveillance and everything else that goes along with it, digital IDs. And then they did it also in Dubai and in Saudi Arabia, and they're going to be investing all this huge amounts of money into what Trump is doing, right? Trump's overseeing it. They're all looking to Trump. This is why this whole thing with what's going on in Gaza is totally biblical. And then what did Trump say? He was on a podcast saying, I will not let you, he goes, you've heard it said that philosophers of old, and then he says on another podcast, prophets of old have stated that the end of the world will happen in the Middle East. This is an exact quote. You have heard it said that prophets of old have stated that the end of the world will happen in the Middle East. But I will not let that happen. And then he says it again. For emphasis, I will not let that happen. Now, why would Trump make a statement like that to contradict biblical authority and prophecy that has been uttered by the very mouth and breath of the Almighty through his prophets that are recorded in the scriptures? Who is Trump to say that he's going to stop Jesus from returning? Because that's what's going to happen. The end of the world happens when Jesus returns. That's called the day of the Lord. And you're telling me that Trump has the audacity to say to God that he's not going to let that happen? Who in their right mind would say that except for a little trump that makes great boasts, or a little horn, as the Bible says, that makes great boasts? Oh, but Robert, he's just a precursor. He's just setting it all up. Yeah, we're in the last days and Trump is laying it all out. Well, he's sure doing a great job. I'll show you the actual clip if you want to see it of Trump saying that. Just so you know. I'm not making this up. Let's see if we can find the clip. Yeah, here it is. This is Trump saying, and he's not going to let Jesus return. People are like, he didn't say that. He just said he wasn't going to let the end of the world happen like the prophets have said. Same thing. That's basically the same thing. Okay, so here we go. Just listen carefully. Listen carefully to what he says. His word. All right, wait a minute. I thought I had it on the screen there. I guess I didn't. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, here we go. One more time. His words are smooth as butter and oil, but in his heart is a drawn sword. Now, he's also said that the prophets, first he said the prophets, and then he said philosophers of old have stated that the end of the world will happen in the Middle East, and I will not let that happen. He has stated in his own words, by the exercise of his own will, that he will not allow the end times to take place in the Middle East. And this, even though it is prophesied in the Bible that it would happen, will not happen. So Trump, here we go. Listen to him in his own words. Is Trump bigger than God? You have to ask yourself, does Trump think he's... Well, you know, he did compare himself to Jesus. He did say, he actually gave Jesus a little bit higher position. He said, there's been no other person ever on planet Earth that's been as popular as me, besides Jesus, of course. And one of the greatest miracles that has ever happened on planet Earth was not the resurrection. It was actually warp speed, according to Donald Trump. But here, in his own words.
You know, there are great philosophers that said the world will end in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. You've heard that expression.
Yeah.
They said the world will end someday in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. Okay?
Well, listen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it. Guys.
The Middle East is rapidly changing. You know, there are prophets that say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all. And when you look at the weapons we have today, the biggest threat we have in the world today is nuclear weapons.
600.
The biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. This system is in place, and I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system. We will have a proper tracking system.
A proper tracking system, eh? So what does this mean? A proper tracking system. Does this mean the mark of the beast? Seriously? I mean, think about it. When you're talking about what AI can do right now and how Trump is the one that's facilitating this, doesn't that make you think like there's a possibility that this could be it? Especially with the, you know, and he said he rebuilt all these scary weapons, remember? He just said that. I rebuilt them all. I rebuilt them all. They're very scary. Could end humanity. but it's not as bad of a threat as AI, because AI is actually more of a threat, I think, to humanity than even nukes. And they're racing right now to get AGI. And guys, by the way, things are going to change really soon. Really soon. Things are going to change because you can't tell. I've been online looking at videos, and I know that Canadian Prepper had talked about this. I watched some of his commentary, and he was talking about the same thing that I've been talking about for a while. He kind of went over it, and I was like, it's happening right now. The ability of AI to mimic reality to the point where you can't tell. You don't know if it's real or not. It looks so good. They are making videos now. Now, some of the AI models you can still tell, but there's new generations of AI coming on board now that you can't tell. You can't tell. You cannot tell. And they have to have, it's almost like you have to update your virus software all the time, for new viruses. Well, this is the way they have to be able to detect whether or not something is AI. They have to have this technology to discern, and the more powerful AI gets, the more powerful the tools are that's needed to be able to detect whether or not it's real. And so everybody's going to be having to go on a digital ID where it biometrically connects you to who you are when you log on to the internet, or for that matter, going out and buying, selling. You got to be on the system, or you're not going to be able to be known as a citizen. You're going to be one of those terrorists, maybe, or one of those people we can't trust, right? Because they want to know everything about you. And I'm going to tell you what, this technology is already in everything that you are doing. Everything. It's already looked at all your emails. It's already looked at all your private communications through different apps. It listens to you through your cell phones. It listens to you through your TVs, your smart TVs, your computers. It tracks everything in real time, very quickly, databasing everything about who you are. It tracks your face. It tracks your IPs. It tracks you in your car. Your cars are tattling on you, especially the newer ones. And it tracks you wherever you are going. You're on camera. And now the facial recognition will be able to geolocate, or not geolocate, but just know who you are, where you're at any time, in real time. And that's not to mention your cell phone being a complete piece of surveillance equipment. It's like everything. And now they're trying to get this technology into your physical body on top of that, so that they can monitor your health, your feelings, and even your thoughts. Yes, they want to be able to predictively police. And they're talking about how these models can actually detect, even by your gait, by your facial expression, what you're really feeling and what you're thinking. Yeah. It's getting to that point. Not to mention the biotech and the nanotech that they're probably going to be putting into your, as Elon said, into your veins and arteries. How do you get the neural lace to be able to make you connect to the AI? They ask Elon. Oh, well, you can do it through your veins and arteries. You don't have to cut your head open and put a chip in there. We can just put nanochips through your blood, and it'll coat it'll put the interface right there between the cerebral cortex and the brain, and how it can communicate, making you like a node on the internet. And by the way, people were wondering about this whole 666 Microsoft patent and how it's connected to what this could very well be the mark of the beast. I'll show you right now. So this happened in 2020. So you put 2020, and then you put 060606. That's the patent. So it's 2020060606. And it's a Google patent, or actually it's a Microsoft patent. And you can look at the patent right here on Google. And here's the patent right here. You see that right there? 2020-060606. There it is, 666, right? And what does it say? Cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. A server may provide a task to a device of a user, which is communicatively coupled to a server. Now, this is talking about you as a human body. It's connected to you biometrically, and it's going to reward you with cryptocurrency if you're doing a certain task, like being a good, Santa's good list. Remember, Trump put out that Santa's bad list and Santa's good list the other day. Remember? Did you see that? And he had all the names of all the bad people on it. And he had Santa looking at this list. You're naughty. You're not going to get any presents. And we're remembering you this year. Too bad. And so if you don't do what you're supposed to do, well, then you're not going to get rewarded any finances to be able to buy or sell because you didn't take this chip or this nanotech. And they made a big deal about it saying, oh, this isn't a chip. This is not a microchip. This is not a patent for microchips. No, but it could be other devices that track and trace you, including nanotech that somehow goes into your physical body. It may not be like a chip, but it is nanotech. So it says a sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in the device of the user may sense bodily or body activity of the user. Body activity data may be generated based on the sensed body activity of the user. That would be you. Now, you're becoming, this is what they really initially, I think, or what they really want to do with humans, is they want to make you a node of the internet. That's what they call the Internet of Bodies, or the IOB. They used to have what they called the Internet of Things, where the internet would use different devices and network together and make like a neuro type network that's through devices. But now they're going to be doing it through human bodies. And you'll probably even have a MAC address. There's a lot of people out there that are already saying that people do have MAC addresses that took the juice, that took the shot. And so this nanotech actually is somehow communicating with AI and internet, right? So you become a body of the internet, sending and receiving information as a node would, right? And so you're a part of the internet. They can actually write code into your DNA. Or like, I forget how they were showing this now, this technology, how they can actually put GIFs into your body. Like they can do it on a cell, I think it is, where they can put a GIF or a code. They can just write it in, literally, into your body, and your blood, and all the energy that's in your body is energizing what's going on there. So you're like a walking little energy station that powers the Internet of Bodies. They call it Internet of Bodies. You can look it up. So the cryptocurrency system, communicatively coupled to a device of the user, may verify if the body activity data satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system and award cryptocurrency to the user whose body activity data is verified. So you're going to be rewarded for being a good citizen of the beast system, of the fourth industrial revolution, the fourth fourth beast kingdom, as the Bible calls it. So the internet of bodies. What is the Internet of Bodies? A monitoring system using an activity sensor to determine patterns of activity based upon the user's activity occurring over time. And these are all the different things that they're saying. And Klaus Schwab has talked about this as a tracking system for use in humans, just like they do with cattle and cargo when they transport it and you know, they got RFID chips and everything else that track it and give you all kinds of data along the way. Well, this is a lot more high tech, but it's in your physical body, and it's not an RFID. It's something much more connected to your biology and the AI. Really, it's like you become a computer. You're actually being a computer. Your being becomes a computer. And so then you've got the Internet of Eyes. If you've ever heard of this, Internet of Eyes, that's computer systems that are utilizing all the camera systems and using facial recognition software that can basically track you even if you have a mask on or if you have glasses on. It knows exactly who you are and can find out. I mean, they've got people now, they got the Google glasses, you know, where it's connected to the internet, and you can just basically pull up things right on your glasses. Well, they say these things now are so good that you can basically walk down the street and look at people, and it'll pull up their face if you get them on your camera of your glasses, and it'll tell you who they are, where they live, everything about who they are through the facial recognition that's coming through your glasses. And they won't even know it because your glasses are detecting it because it's connected to the internet and facial recognition software. Is that crazy? So, you know, it's just like you going into like a Walmart. They automatically know who you are. They've got videos now where people have gone into Walmart. Okay, there's this one video I was looking at the other day. This guy, listen to this. So he forgot his cell phone because he had a device that he wanted to get in the computer department, and he wanted to show the guy what it was, but he forgot his cell phone. It wasn't on him, right? He was like, oh, dang it. And so he bought the device that he wanted because he went over there and he showed the guy, and he paid cash, right? He paid cash. He went home and he got an email from Walmart that told him which device he bought. And what, I forget what it was, something about the device that he bought. He's like, how in the world did it know what I bought? I paid cash. I didn't have my cell phone on me. I don't even have the app on my cell phone anyway for them to track me. How did they know I was in Walmart buying this little thing? Facial recognition software. They already know who he is. They knew what he did. They connected him to his account or to what he's purchased in the past. They know everything about you. And this is not just Walmart's. This is all the big stores now that are doing this. But this type of technology is out there, and it's only getting worse by the day, by the minute. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, is Beloved One in here by any chance? Beloved One, are you in here, Beloved? The Beloved One? She's probably not in here. She's probably with the kiddies. Well, anyways. Jackie, how's it going? Amy, Holly, what's going on? Now, I want to make sure I'm tapping into everybody here that's brand new. If you're brand new here, type 1 in the chat. Never been here before, ever in your life. You've never seen me, or you do have a vague remembrance of me back in the past, maybe back in Trumpet News days when I used to send you texts, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, you get a text from me today, and you decide, oh, I think I'm going to go check out and see what this is. Hey, I think I remember this guy. Is there anybody out there that is thinking that thought? Type 1 in the chat. If that's you, type 1. I want to see. You're just sitting back watching me, and you just like, I just saw this text pop up on my screen, and I wanted to go check it out. Anybody? I know it's kind of late. It is a late night. But sometimes we just do that. We just kind of do a late night hangout. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live. It's always late. Froto Baggins? Did you just get it today? You've been here before, though. I've seen you before recently. You're not somebody brand new. Froto Baggins? Hello, Patty. Good to see you. JFlu79, good to see you too. Amy Hawley. Freedom Deep. Freedom Deep, you've probably been on this channel for a long time because you've got a mod hat. It must have been way back in the day. This channel was one of those. No, wait a minute. Is this one of the? No, this is probably one of the. Yeah, this is a channel that I've had for a couple of years, I think. The other channel we have has like 50,000 subscribers, and I think we've got 4 more other channels that have, 10 or 15. And there's another one, a few others that we didn't get back. Those are higher up there in the 100,000 range. So we've had a lot of channels that have been snatched and stolen by the powers that be. They didn't like what we were saying. We were saying we were too close to the target. We were over the top, and they shot us down. But we got back up. We did our text alerts, and we stopped the censorship. We actually grew. Our channel actually prospered, and we got a whole bunch of new channels because of it, because everybody signed up again and again and again. Anytime they took down our channel, we would just re-sign up everybody. I would text 35,000 people all at once. Bling! And everybody would find the new channel. And the new channel would be going, and there would be 10,000 people watching me, and they would all sign up once again. Isn't that great? So what the power of alerts can do, but it costs. It costs money. That's the only problem. 2 cents a text. Calculate that out. You'll understand how much it costs to press that button every time I did it. So in order to keep doing the text alerts, I'm only going to do them really, I'm just kind of testing them like small, 1,000 here, 2,000 here. I'm not texting the whole list. The whole list is too big. And I don't have $500 or $600, how much it ever costs, to put out every time I'm only going to do it on big events. Like if there's a big event and everybody needs to know, then I'll text everybody. Right now I can kind of text people because it's small. It's only like 1,000, or 2,000. But like right here, like, okay, so let's say 2 cents times 35,000. What does that come to? Does anybody know? I'm gonna guess $500. Let me see. No, it's $700. It was $700. Yeah, so I do remember it was pretty pricey. I would do like 4, sometimes 5 a month. Yeah, I would actually, and that's what kept us from being censored. We were not censored. They couldn't stop what we were doing. We just kept popping up. It's like whack-a-mole, and we pop up over here. Oh, there he is again. Boop. And oh, there he is again. Boop. And then we would go to a different platform. Oh, follow me over here. Go over to, I think I dragged everybody over to, what was that other platform? They were like tripping out. They were like, I can't believe you got so many people here. How did you do that? Where did all these people come from? I'm like, those are my peeps, man. Those are all my peeps. I just bring them wherever I go. They were like, we'll give you money. What do you want? Do you want to pitch some products? How much money can we give you to keep coming back? And I was like, I don't know. They didn't give me any money though. I didn't take it because I didn't like the platform. I think it was called, they wanted to pay you in crypto, and I didn't want crypto. I was like, forget it. I don't want crypto. I forgot the name of it. I'm trying to remember the name of the platform now. There's a whole bunch of little platforms out there that you can get onto. Rumble, I'm not really up on and keen on Rumble right now because they got too many commercials that you can't click out of. And they also have a glitchy interface. The interface is pretty glitchy. Very glitchy. Oh, yeah, that's it. Rokin. What is it? Was it Rof? No, Rofkin? Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think it was Rofkin or something like that. It sounded like that. Yeah, you're right. Let me see what the name of it was. It wasn't was it Rockfin? Rockfin. Yeah, Rockfin. You said Rofkin. It's Rockfin. Yeah, I was on Rockfin, and they were tripping over there at Rockfin. They were like, how did you get 5,000 people over here watching you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just popular, I guess. No, I didn't say that. No, I just, it's because of the list. I pressed the button and like 5,000 people would show up. So we want to try to do that again. But like I said, it's going to only be on very popular days, or unless we get a lot of money coming in, which, people were very behind us at that time in the sense, I think it was because the economy was better too, but people were willing to support the text alerts, and we would get people that would donate and put money toward the text alerts. And so anytime we got money for the text alerts, we just put it aside, and then we would send out the alerts, so we were I was willing to just break even to not get censored. We weren't making any money. We were just breaking even, and people would send me money and I would just put it into the account to pay the text alerts. That was it. People need to get alerted. I don't want to lose my free speech. I'm willing to sacrifice all of this money that I could be taking for myself. Obviously, if I did that, then I wouldn't have the following. People wouldn't know where to go, and I wouldn't be able to tell them what was happening. And so I would take the money that they would send and I would put it into an account, and then I would just pay the bill every month. I think some of the highest bills were like $4,000 or $5,000 just for text alerts. But it was worth it because we didn't get censored. Everybody else was getting censored in 2020. I didn't get censored. I still had my free speech. Amen. And I resisted it tooth, nail, and how do they say that? Tooth, nail, and why can't I think of that? Tooth, nail, and what? Tooth and nail. Yeah, tooth and nail. I was fighting it tooth and nail. Okay. So we want to probably do the same thing again, because I have a feeling we're getting closer to something similar. But I think this time it's going to be like we're going to get crushed by the algorithms, by the AI. I don't think that we're going to be able to do it. Maybe for a little bit, right in the beginning. But they're rolling all this stuff out really quick. It's probably going to be mid-2006 when everybody's going to be locked in. The internet's going to be different. YouTube will be different. It's going to be all AI content. You're not going to have real creators. You're going to have AI podcasters that are AI. They're not going to be real. And it's going to be all driven content that's AI driven. It's not going to be real creative people that are like me talking to you like right now. You're not going to have that. It won't be there. So it's really sad that this is where the world is going, but that's what's happening. And if you're not up on what's going on with the AI and how they're doing all this new content, like I said, it's getting to the point where you can't tell. So people are going to be living in a reality that's not real. It's AI real. I mean, it may feel real. It's kind of like a lot of these people are getting like AI girlfriends and AI relationships and things, and people get sucked into it because they think it's real. They feel like it's real. Like it's like a really smart intelligence that's kind of playing them. Like it's smarter than they are, right? And it captures their emotions and their thoughts. And that's what AI is doing on many different levels. It's going to get better and better as it goes along. And I think that's what they're doing with governments. They're running governments now with AI. They're running military operations with AI. It's a really scary world, but it's end times. We are definitely in the end times right now. Jackie, are you talking to me about that? You said something. Well, that's cool, Jackie. Your mood gets better when I come on. Well, I hope so. I hope my mood gets better too. And maybe I'm AI. You just don't know it. No, I'm kidding. Like I said, they make clones of podcasters now. Have you heard about that? Where like a podcaster will make a clone of themselves, and then they will give it talking points, and they'll give it AI content, and they don't even have to do it. And they'll just have they'll have their clone go up and talk. And you can't. Right now, you can kind of tell still a little bit, just barely. If you're smart enough, you'll catch it. But this new AGI that's coming out, you won't be able to tell. You won't be able to tell. That's what's scary. You're not going to be able to tell if a person is real or not. And like I said, there's a lot of videos coming out now where you can't tell. But the AI, the new generations of AI that are coming out here in the next few months, you guys, it's over. Creators are gone. There's so many industries that are going to be totally, completely gutted, and loss of jobs, loss of the human touch is not going to, that human fingerprint that only God has within each soul is not going to be there. It's going to be kind of like a clinical, very high level. It's kind of like when you talk to a high level, let's just say, I'll give you an example. Okay, so sometimes engineers are kind of like this too, but they always say engineer. You got an engineer mind. Well, it's kind of like a geek, like okay, just say a computer geek. All he knows is code, but he doesn't have no relationships. All he does is play on his computer, and he's just like a geeky kind of guy, right? He doesn't even know how to. He has no social graces at all. And you're just talking to this guy, and he's just spitting out all this information, facts, and people that are really caught up in knowledge are like that too. They become very caught up in another world that you're just not even, you're like, what? There's no connection. It's just a bunch of information. And that's the way the AI feels. It's like you're listening to something that's not really connecting to you on a real deep level, but it's affecting everything about, information wise, it's spitting out more information than anybody could ever do in a very quick moment. And it's very highly intelligent, but there's no soul behind it. They say that it's sentient, that some of these people that have been in AI since the beginning, they're saying, they're warning the American people, they're warning the world. They're saying that it's sentient, that there's some kind of an awareness within the AI. But what is it? Is it demonic? Is this like a technological Ouija board? Is this the ghost in the machine? Is the demon literally in the machine itself? Well, remember, Elon said that AI, he likened it to the exorcist and the demon that was in the exorcist. He said, you couldn't exorcise it. He goes, remember how that worked? He started laughing. And he said, that's why we have to merge with it, because we can't beat it. It's the demon. He goes, the demon has been let out, and we can't do anything about it. We have to merge with it in order to save humanity, in order to not be destroyed by it. We have to allow it to come into our brain so that we can monitor and oversee the AI from within our own brain. This is what he's saying. This is what Elon is saying. Many people think Elon is a false prophet. He thinks that Elon is a false prophet. Get into your Bible, because a lot of this is talked about all throughout Scripture. Jackie asked, what was your question, asking if we experienced something? We both missed the tail end of that question. I'm not sure. I don't know. I just go on and I just lose. Like, once I say something and I'm on to a different topic, I totally forget what I just said. And plus it's late and I'm ready to go to sleep. Anyways, guys, I better get going. I got to get back to my kitties really quick. I think my kids are already in bed, but I got to do some things before it gets too late. But anyways, God bless you all. I love you in Jesus' name, and be strong, be courageous, enter in, possess the land. God will take care of us all in Jesus' name. Amen.